Hi everyone! So I want to share with you a wonderful way of binding a book in a very quick way. I've got a couple of loose sketches here and I really want to just, instead of them lying around on my table and irritating me, I just want to bind them together in a simple book format. And this is a very quick and easy method to bind. Let me show you what it would look like as a finished book. This is a previous project book that I bound, and you can see I used raffia. I have added a stronger backing to it, and it really looks quite neat, and it's quite sturdy. This book is really old. This project book is really old. I am going to first share with you the materials you're going to need. Obviously, your inner pages. You can use blank pages if you want to start a new book, make a sketchbook from anew. You obviously need a cover, so I'm going to use this cardstock as cover. And I'm just, because it's just a sketchbook, I'm using recycled materials, so the backing of an old sketch pad from back in the day. I'm going to use that as the backing for this book. And you're going to need some scissors, some various kinds of thread. Again, it really doesn't matter what you use. You can use embroidery thread, you can use different kinds of twine. You can even use something like wool. And this is crochet wool, but this is a bamboo wool. And this is what I'm going to use because it's going to complement this blue quite nicely, but it'll still have enough contrast so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to need a nice thick needle. You're going to need a ruler. You're going to need cutting tools like anti-cutters or any kind of different blades. And you're going to obviously need a pencil, and you'll need an awl. This is quite important. And a bone scorer. So because my sketches were torn out from some other books and they're all different sizes, I'm first just going to cut them evenly and ensure all my pages are of the same exact size. Now that I've measured out all the pages and cut them all to the exact size, including the back cover, I can measure where the spine is going to be, where the holes need to be punched, and I'm also going to measure where the folding line is going to be. I'm going to do this on the back side of this drawing because it only has one side. I'm going to begin by giving it a quite generous fold line, and I'm going to measure 40 millimeters. I don't need to draw a line with a pencil. I'm going to use the bone scorer to drag the fold line. The bone scorer just makes it a lot easier to fold in a very neat manner. And then I'm just going to turn it around. Fold it. Okay. Now it's time to measure out where I want the holes to be that I'm going to punch. I am going to first measure the vertical line, which is about 25 millimeters. 25, you can choose between 25 to 30 millimeters. And now you need to measure 4 holes that are equally spaced. For a standard page size, this would mean about 45 millimeters on the outer sides, and then 40 millimeters on the inner spot. So that would be my first punch hole. And second punch hole, third punch hole. After I've scored it, I measure out 4 equal dots where I want to make the holes, and then I'm going to use the awl and make sure that you work on a cutting mat, and I'm going to puncture those holes in place, and I'm going to make sure I puncture them through, that they're nice and big. They must be big enough ultimately for my needle to punch through. I'm just going to punch it on the other side. And this you need to do for all your pages. So let me do that now. Okay, now that I've finished measuring and punching the holes in all of my pages, I can gather them together and by using the bull clips, or these clips, I'm just going to hold them in place so that when I begin stitching, it won't move around. I'm just going through the holes again, one last time, whilst they're clamped together, just to ensure that the needle will be able to pass through very easily. Just be careful for your fingers. Alright, that looks good. It's time to thread. So I'm going to use, like I said, this crochet bamboo wool, if you can call it, I don't think yarn, that's what they call it, crochet yarn. And I'm just going to thread it through. Okay, that looks good. And then you make sure that you have enough thread. So I'm just going to take it 3 times the height, about. This is actually more than enough. Alright. So you can see this is the front and this is the back. Okay, so we're going to start at the back. So I'm going to turn it around so that you can see what I do. And the second hole from the bottom, I'm going to pull the needle through that and make sure it goes through all the layers and it comes out at the front. And I thread it through until I have a tail, enough of a tail at the back. Then you're going to, this is the spine, we're going to pull it over the edge of the spine and to the back again. So this, and we're going to pull the needle through that back, through that same hole, back and out again. So now the second time around, this is where it can become tricky. Okay, do you see there at the back, whoops, what I'm doing? And I'm just going to pull it through, and as I'm pulling it through, I'm just going to need to hold on to this tail to make sure that it stays there. Okay, and then I pull it tight. So we started at this hole at the back, we pulled it through around the spine and from the back through the same hole again. Now we're going to go to this hole at the bottom, this first hole at the bottom, and I'm going to pull the needle through there. Okay, just needed a better grip. Alright, so I'm just going to pull it through the front, and I pull it tight as much as I can. Okay, so it's out at the back, and now you pull it to the spine direction and pull it over that spine and let it go through that same hole it went through just now, that first bottom hole. I'm just going to wiggle it. There we go. Alright, and I pull it through and tight. Make it nice and tight. Alright, now the thread is at the back, so I'm just going to turn it around so you see what I'm doing. Alright, so there it is. And I want this thread to go to the bottom part. Okay, the bottom edge of that paper group. Alright. It's not to the side, it's at the bottom. And then I'm going to pull it through that hole again. Okay. And make sure again it's nice and tight and straight as much as possible. Okay, I'm going to turn it around so you see what I did. So now it's there at the back, it's coming out, and I'm pulling it through this hole to the front. So that second hole that we started with initially. So this is going to be, in actual fact, the third time this needle has to go through this hole. Okay, and I'm going to just push it through and pull it out on the other side. Make sure it's nice and tight. And I'm going to turn it around to the front again. Now I'm going to pull it through this third hole above from the front Make sure it's nice and tight. Then I'm going to pull it through to the side, and I'm pushing the needle through that same hole where it was just coming through. From the front to the back, make sure it's tight, pulling it, turning it around so that you can see what I'm doing. And now I'm pushing it through the top hole. I'm just going to turn it around so you can see there it goes through. Pull it tight around, and then it's going to the side, to the spine area again, and you push it to the back through that same hole, from the back through to the front again. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to move this bull clip so that you can see what I'm doing. And now I'm going to pull it up and around, and it's going through this top hole again from the back to the front. Okay, that looks good. Pull it tight. Okay, looks good. And now it's out at the front, and there's only one hole it needs to go through. It's this third one. From the front, you pull it through to the back. Tight, make sure it's very nice and tight. That looks good. And now I just need to fasten this to that corner. So I'm just pulling it under, and then I can make a knot. Make sure it's tight and secure. This is a method that doesn't need any glue to it, but if you wanted to ensure that this knot is secured tight, you can just dab a little bit of glue on that spot. And I can remove the bull clips. And look how instantaneous this bind was. I hope this is helpful for you. This is a great way to preserve your drawings, or to create quick notebooks and to create unique notebooks. It has so many uses. Thanks for watching.